Uncertainty surrounding Korea's economy, both domestically and globally, has increased in recent times. Externally, there is a high likelihood that the U.S. administration's tariff policy will be implemented more swiftly and forcefully than initially anticipated, further heightening uncertainty in the global trade environment. On the domestic front, political uncertainty since late last year has been weighing on economic sentiment, which in turn has led to stronger downward pressure on domestic demand. In light of these external and domestic conditions, Bank of Korea has projected GDP growth rate for this year at 1.5%. This represents a significant downward revision from the previous forecast of 1.9% made in November last year. However, looking at the growth trajectory, it is anticipated that as we move into the second half of the year, political uncertainty will gradually ease and the effects of looser financial conditions will begin to materialize, leading to a modest improvement in growth. Meanwhile, the future growth path is expected to be considerably influenced by trade policies of major economies, domestic political developments, and the government's economic stimulus measures. On another note, CPI inflation is expected to stabilize around the target level of 2%. CPI inflation rate for this year is projected to align with the initial forecast of 1.9%. While there are upward pressures due to higher exchange rates, these will likely be offset by low demand-side pressures and the government's price stabilization measures. As for core inflation, it is anticipated to be slightly below the previous forecast at 1.8%, due to demand-side pressures remaining at a low level. Going forward, the inflation path will be influenced mainly by movements of exchange rates and oil prices, domestic and global economic conditions, and the government's price stabilization measures. Shifting to a more international perspective, the global trade environment is currently at a crucial turning point. Since the inauguration of the new U.S. administration, there are growing concerns that the tariff measures, which have been implemented more swiftly and forcefully than initially anticipated, could potentially lead to intensifying global trade conflicts. Also, impact of U.S. tariff policies are expected to be transmitted through both direct and indirect channels. First, via the direct channel, exports to the U.S. may decline. U.S. recently accounts for nearly 20% of Korea's total goods exports, and especially for products such as automobiles and semiconductors, where the U.S. is a major export destination, actual imposition of tariffs would have a significant negative impact. Furthermore, U.S. tariff policies could have a ripple effect on other countries, severely impacting the global economy. As global uncertainty rises, investment sentiment and production activities may also decline worldwide. Regarding inflation, there are mixed pressures. Downward pressures due to slower growth and upward pressures stemming from higher exchange rates and supply chain disruptions. Considering these direct and indirect transmission channels, Bank of Korea has estimated the impact on Korea's economy under possible scenarios. Under the base scenario on U.S. tariff policies, it is expected that stronger and faster than expected U.S. tariffs will lower Korea's growth rate by 0.1 percentage points this year and 0.2 percentage points next year. However, there is significant uncertainty regarding how U.S. tariff policies will unfold, and depending on how we prepare and respond, the impact could vary. In conclusion, while inflation is expected to remain stable, downward pressures on both exports and domestic demand has increased considerably. Nonetheless, going into the second half of the year, as domestic uncertainties ease and the effects of previous interest rate cuts gradually take hold, economic conditions will improve gradually.